I was lied to about retirement, and so were you. You're not irresponsible. You're misinformed. We were shown by example and sometimes by deed and very frequently by command that our retirement age was at the earliest 65. That's what you were to strive for. That is what I was to prepare for. 65. I'm going to work until then. Maybe later because maybe I love my job. Maybe I had lots of people I had to take care of. Who knows? But that was the expectation in the example and the lie that we had to work to 65. And it turns out what they've told us our entire life and what we considered was normal is wrong, is a lie, and normal is not the truth. We were all taught the same thing, whether you're women or men. Work hard, show up, do your best, give the extra effort, climb the ladder, make more money, rinse, repeat. Family, important, but not as important as you providing for them for as long as possible. Now, previous generations, that meant basically until they were married and out of the house, right? That's kind of how it happened with us Gen Xers. However, we now have a different world. Kids, grown kids, adult kids over 30, lots of them are coming home, and we're welcoming them with open arms because that wasn't available to us. That's a whole nother topic. But at the end of the day, you are now extending your financial responsibility for other living beings to the detriment of yourself. We're going to talk about that over the next couple of months over these series of videos. And we're going to figure out how to put ourselves first and our needs first. And for many of us, it's the first time in our entire life we're going to take priority. Today, though, I want us to think about why you personally feel that you were taught, you were shown by example, you were told your expectations. Maybe you've never really given it any thought. 65 is just the social norm. But let's figure out where that came from for each one of us, because it's going to be a little bit different. And to break out of that provided requirement is going to be very personal and very individual for every last one of us, male or females. So let's think about where that came from, because the only way you're going to burst that bubble is to find out where that bubble is being made from. For me, it was the information came by example from generational examples. It was the norm from my grandparents and my great aunts and uncles down through what my parents, my mother and my father, had inherited as far as their understanding of what retirement was, and then third generation me. If you think back prior to 3 generations from me, retirement wasn't so much of a goalpost. It wasn't a thing. It was just something that organically happened when you were too old and broken down to work, when you basically died on the job. People weren't necessarily focused on retirement as a goal to get to, but now that is the norm. We've all got to hit that gold line for retirement. And truth is, a lot of us are not ready and or prepared for retirement. So we may end up doing a hybrid retirement in today's terms. Maybe you don't want to stop working. Maybe you love what you're doing so much that you want to do it forever. Great. It's not about the money, it's about your life enjoyment. But then there's others, self included, that would like to quit answering to someone outside of my existence, my life, and quit saying, yes, sir, I'll be there at a certain time. Yes, sir, I'll do 4 hours a day in traffic. I'm ready to stop that, and I want to do it sooner than later. So I'm taking a really hard look at my own money in my own life, not just the money, because it's not about the dollars. It's a lot to do with the cents. Am I emotionally and psychologically ready to cross over into retirement or a hybrid retirement? I'm getting there. I've actually written some journals that are helping me. Some of them are down below. Go check them out if you need some soul searching, intentional soul searching for yourself. I've also will be talking this whole topic from beginning to end for the next 7 months. If you're watching these videos, there's 7. There's going to be one a day. And on the 7th day, I'm also going to do a YouTube live. So all of this is going to be packaged together. So I don't care. Today it's 2026. So if this is 2029 or 2045, go and check them out. Binge them. This is timeless information, because what we find out is that it's not only about our job and how much money we saved and what we've been doing with that money. It's got a lot more to do about your awareness, your own personal habits, defining what is enough, what is sufficiency for yourself. So you guys keep coming back. This is happening. Retirement, death, taxes. You can count on them. They're going to happen in every life. So for we women, we believed, because we didn't know different, okay? We equated our jobs with being responsible, with being providers. Many of us are single income households, single parents, etc. So we had to work, and we never considered there would eventually be a time where we didn't have to work. So you need to understand that as well about yourself. Men, same thing. It is ingrained in your DNA that you are supposed to be the provider. You are supposed to work until you drop. You've had the example set for you over and over and over again. Your grandfathers, your great-grandfathers, your own father, the men you socialize with, the men you go to church with, you guys are all incredibly hard workers. But when can you stop? When is that possible? Let's unpack this together. So comment below, who taught you? Why do you think 65 or thereabouts is the magical age that you're allowed to retire? Because we're going to find out there is no law for it. All right. I will see y'all in the next video. Like, share, subscribe, bring others along. Let's dive into this together, because retirement is a whole new frontier for us. Stop recording. Why is working longer framed as responsible, as the right thing that you should do because you are the provider, whether you're male or female? Why was working longer framed as responsible? Responsibility is a word that became weaponized. I don't even like that word. Responsibility is a word that was pressed upon, I'm going to say, women. We were socialized. You have to be responsible. Whether it was responsible for your grades, responsible for your household, responsible for your income. Responsibility is a good thing, don't get me wrong. But when you are pressed into working yourself to an early grave, to a delayed retirement, because it's the responsible thing to do, you got to take a step back and think, there's more to life than this. Responsibility is one thing, but when can you become responsible only for you because you've done your job with your children, your parents, etc.? Responsibility, good thing, but not when it's at the detriment to yourself. With the responsibility, and we rose to the challenge, because we women, we are some tough old broads, all right? I don't care what generation you're from. We can dive in, we can do it. You can birth out the babies, you can raise those children, you can hold down a job. Many of us are out there doing traditional man positions, whether it's construction or oil and gas, etc. At the end of the day, we women can do absolutely everything our male counterparts can. Period. End of story. But when it comes to the continuing working, we were praised for that extra oomph of grinding it out, showing up, taking on the extra responsibilities. I was recently told you can take on these next 2 projects in addition to everything you're doing because you got really broad shoulders. Yeah, I do have really broad, strong shoulders. And yes, I could take on a heck of a lot more if it was a crisis situation. But honestly, I'm tired. I don't want to take on anymore. I produce over and above what I think I'm compensated for, and that's just my own personal work ethic. but I'm tired of being pressed to take on more and more because they recognize that we women, we can do a lot. We can multitask like fiends. And they press us into being responsible, grinding, sacrificing, take on more, be a team player, etc., etc. So why have women taken on the burdens in the workplace without hesitation? A lot of it has to do because we are caregivers, we are providers, we are nurturers. When we see somebody struggling or needing help, we're there to lighten the load. It's who we were made to be on many levels. And we've taken that into the workplace, and honestly, it's been taken advantage of. So, this is a time of life where I'm evaluating how much longer I actually need to work. And I think you are too. If you're here, it's because you're considering retirement. You may be fearful that you don't have enough, and we're going to unpack that together. We're going to figure out what is enough for you to retire. I know what my number is, and I was amazed that I probably made more in my 20s than what I actually need now to live off of. So today we need to redefine responsibility. Responsibility to whom and to what? Protecting your future and your future self is the most responsible thing you can do at this age. If you're a woman over 40, you're going to be there before you know it. Woman over 50, it is knocking on your door. Woman over 60, it's pulled in and it's taking its coat off in your entryway right now. Retirement or the possibility of truly retiring is right with us. So let's redefine responsibility. Let's become responsible for ourselves and our future retired self today. There's adjustments that we all need to make. There's new habits we need to pick up. You need to find out what number you need, what your magic number is, and then we will work together to figure out where your money currently sits, how much you actually have, how much you're bleeding without even knowing it, whether it's adult children who are always seem to need a little bit of help, or if it's subscriptions that you forgot to cancel. We'll work on all this together. You do not owe your company exhaustion, and you don't owe exhaustion your loyalty. It is time to be loyal to yourself and go boldly into this next chapter. Killing us. It is. We're going to do that together. You're going to be surprised. If you're in this boat where you're beginning to think about, when can I retire? How much do I need? Do I have enough? Oh my God, do I have to work forever? Put it down in the comments. Keep coming back. Like, share, subscribe. I post multiple times a week, but this is a 7-day series with a YouTube Live at the end. And I've got 7 video series for the next 7 months. So whether it's 2026, when I'm producing these, see how youthful I look compared to my more recent videos. If you're in the future, you're looking at this in 2045, because I'll still be around, promise. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, keep coming back. Stop recording. Retirement age is made up. It is made up by the government, by employers, by our grandparents. It's just an arbitrary date, an age that was thrown out there. There are no retirement police that are going to come knock on your door and tell you that you have broken a law, because there is no law. I honestly thought 65 was mandatory until I realized it didn't. And it has changed everything. I have begun looking at my numbers, not just how much I have, but how much I actually need, my life expectancy, etc. It is amazing how exciting the future looks when I realize that I don't have to work till 65. I don't actually need as much money as the experts tell us every day that we need, and it keeps going up. It's never going to be attainable. I'll work until I'm 150 to achieve some of those millions they tell me I have to have. I got nobody I'm leaving the money to. Yeah, I love my family, those who might be left behind. If there's anything left, I am happy to distribute what's left. But I am not working my entire life in order to pad your inheritance. So if it's just a suggestion, what's it designed for? Why is it stuck? Well, It benefits some of the social payment systems because they can delay having to pay you or deduct part of what you've paid in because you take it early, etc. There's a governmental system there, but also employers. Now, we have noticed a trend in our generations that the younger upstarts coming in are actually probably more up on some of the technologies than a lot of folks of my generation are, and they're going to work for a lot less because they don't have the work experience yet. So there is a trend in the corporate world that 65 is no longer the golden age of how long you want to retain somebody. There's been some reverse layoffs and some permanent layoffs and some ageism, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, the longer you work for the pay that you've maxed out at, the longer it benefits a company. So age 65 or older also benefits the corporate world. But nobody designed 65 to be the best for us. What the studies are now showing is that you only have so many years of basically decent health to enjoy life before things start to deteriorate. And if we wait until we're 65 to retire, men only have about 18 months before their first major health event. 18 months. We hear stories all the time of how somebody retired, they came home and they were dead within a week. It's real. So let's think sooner than later, or a hybrid situation, which we'll talk about as well in these videos, that may suit you better so you can actually live the life you want to live because you now know how much you need to make in order to meet your basics. And let's enjoy life for the rest of the life we have left. I had a gentleman growing up, it was a friend of the family. He had some serious health issues and he knew he had an expiration date. But his phrase was always, I am going to live until I die. And by God, I want to live till I die. And I do not want to work until that day. So let's figure this out. So we've talked a little bit about where the retirement age came from. It came from just the social norms. It came from the retirement programs, the government sponsors that we've paid into our lives. It comes from the corporate entities, but we've all just accepted it like quiet sheeple. Yes, okay, that's what's expectable. That's my target. We are free thinkers. You do not have to do anything without questioning it, and it may not fit you. What has been normal may not be the best thing for you. So regardless of where the age of 65 or older has come from in your world, question it and see what works best for you, and then do what's best for you. I will be doing what's best for me. A lot of us, though, we're still struggling with it. 65, no, that's the date. I'm not ready to retire at 59. My God, I've been planning for 65. That's okay. You can stop, you can reevaluate, and you can decide, well, I don't necessarily need to leave $4 million to my kids or my grandkids. I think I can stop working, enjoy what's left of my life, and leave them less or nothing at all because you have worked hard your entire life to provide, to sustain a quality of life for your loved ones. It is time that you do your senior years, your upcoming next chapter, to fit you in what you want. And if they don't understand that, they need to go out and work a little bit harder for themselves and get themselves in a position to where they can make these same choices in their 50s, 60s. If you're in a position where you do not think you are ever going to be able to retire, I think you're probably going to surprise yourself by watching these videos and working along with us because you're going to figure out how much you actually need. Do you even want to fully retire, quit working, etc.? Or do you want to do something else or even maybe ask for a hybrid retirement for your company? These are all things that we can do. But what we're saying, what I'm realizing is that I don't have to wait to 65 because somebody's told me I can do whatever the hell I want to do but I'm going to do it as an adult. I'm going to know that I can afford it. Share this video with somebody in life, male or female, but women over 50, this is especially for us because we have been working under a completely different set of assumptions and rules because we are the nurturers and the caregivers, not just providers. Thank you, men, for everything you've done for those families who have one who's done it. But at the end of the day, we've always known that when it gets down to, as my great-grandfather would say, nut cutting time, we're in the trenches and we're doing the work. So share it, like, come back, subscribe, binge my video. Let's change our lives together. Stop recording. How did fear replace freedom for women? Fear didn't keep you safe. It kept you compliant. How many times did I stay too long somewhere because I was afraid versus satisfied? How many times? Stop recording. So, how did fear replace freedom for women? How did we let this happen? Fear has never kept us safe. It's kept us compliant. How many times have we stuck around somewhere or in a relationship, a job we couldn't stand, because we acquired fear? And this fear did not happen overnight. It slowly eked into our lives because we invited it. Back in our youth, when we didn't have two nickels to rub together, oh, the devil may care. Bombastic, living out loud, living free. A couple of years went by, we got a car. A couple more years, we had some kids. A couple more years, we've got a mortgage. Maybe we had a divorce. Maybe we were rebuilding after some sort of catastrophe. Life happens, and all of a sudden, we become even more desperate to retain our current income than we were 15, 20, 30 years ago. That's the fear. We've acquired additional reasons and problems, so we're afraid to leave, to start over, and maybe find something worse. Fear, she's a bitch. But what's even worse is when fear becomes your financial advisor. When you begin making your financial decisions and your life satisfaction choices because of fear. You're afraid to quit this job for fear you're not going to find a replacement, for fear that the next job's not going to bonus you as well, etc., etc. You're going to end up somewhere worse. I've been guilty of saying, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't. Was that really bold, bombastic, Jen? Or was that complacent, I'm fearful of losing this, Jen? Questions to ask yourselves. And fear doesn't solely source itself from our internal dialogue. No, it comes from external sources. We see it in the news. The job market sucks. Unemployment is at an all-time high. Companies are laying off. Ageism's a real thing. People of our age, 50 over, can't find a job because everybody else is younger with more recent technology experience, etc. So we become even more fearful of not being able to make a move. We allow ourselves to be stuck. So here we sit. We also make ourselves very fearful of not knowing enough to be able to make better financial decisions, whether it comes to where to put our money. We do fearful things such as, oh, I'm going to take out some credit cards because if I had an emergency, I'm going to need to spend their money, not mine. We do stupid when we're afraid. Choosing clarity over panic will give you peace of mind and a steady path for you to walk on. Now that sounds very all highfalutin and touchy-feely, but think about it. The amount of stress that you put yourself under when you're afraid of things, and usually those things or scenarios we've built up in our mind based on misinformation or misinterpretation of information that's come our way. Could have been about some news story, could have been about some remote, distant land that has a very unique situation that will never replicate and duplicate itself in your neighborhood, but all of a sudden you're afraid that Ebola or the swine flu or the bird flu or whatever the most recent fear-mongering news story is about to happen to you and yours, and what that might mean to y'all financially. So financial fears for we women of a certain age are definitely rooted in misinformation, ignorance, which is the lack of understanding, and lack of guidance. And there's ways that we can educate ourselves. We can talk to a financial advisor that has the heart of a teacher who will help walk you through your understanding before you give them the first dollar to invest on your behalf. If you've not begun saving for retirement or you think you're way behind, you're scared. That's fear. And that fear actually can easily be resolved by a few easy steps that we talk about on my channel, which is figuring out what your current monthly expenses are, what your debt is, what your income is, and what your anticipated income is going to be in retirement. Because once you know how much you need to live right now, that's the maximum you're going to need in retirement. And when you stop working, and some of you may choose to hybrid and not completely stop working, but if you choose to stop working, there are going to be expenses that are going to naturally fall away that you'll no longer have to pay. You're not going to have to buy professional clothes anymore. You're not going to have to buy dry cleaning. You're going to eat home a lot more. So your expenses will actually decrease when you're no longer working. So keep coming back. This information you can use whether you're going to retire in 5 years or in 15 or never. All right? But we've got things we can do now to take away a lot of the fear we're living with so you can continue to live a phenomenal life and retire when and like you mean it. If you're ready to replace fear with information, with boldness, and with a plan, keep coming back. Like, subscribe, share. Send this video to somebody in your life, man or woman. I usually speak to women over 50, but I know there's a lot of men that tune into this channel and to hear a lot of the information I have to say. I am not a financial advisor. I am just simply a woman who has decided that she would like to retire sooner than later, and how am I going to do it? I'm here to help you figure that out for yourselves. Keep coming back. I'll see y'all soon. Stop recording. How did fear replace freedom for women? Fear didn't keep you safe. It kept you compliant. How many times did I stay too long somewhere because I was afraid versus satisfied? How many times? Stop recording. So, how did fear replace freedom for women? How did we let this happen? Fear has never kept us safe. It's kept us compliant. How many times have we stuck around somewhere or in a relationship, a job we couldn't stand, because we acquired fear? And this fear did not happen overnight. It slowly eked into our lives because we invited it. Back in our youth, when we didn't have two nickels to rub together, oh, the devil may care. Bombastic, living out loud, living free. A couple of years went by. We got a car. A couple more years, we had some kids. A couple more years, we've got a mortgage. Maybe we had a divorce. Maybe we were rebuilding after some sort of catastrophe. Life happens, and all of a sudden, we become even more desperate to retain our current income than we were 15, 20, 30 years ago. That's the fear. We've acquired additional reasons and problems, so we're afraid to leave, to start over, and maybe find something worse. Fear, she's a bitch. But what's even worse is when fear becomes your financial advisor. When you begin making your financial decisions and your life satisfaction choices because of fear. You're afraid to quit this job for fear you're not going to find a replacement, for fear that the next job's not going to bonus you as well, etc., etc. You're going to end up somewhere worse. I've been guilty of saying, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't. Was that really bold, bombastic, Jen? Or was that complacent, I'm fearful of losing this, Jen? Questions to ask yourselves. And fear doesn't solely source itself from our internal dialogue. No, it comes from external sources. We see it in the news. The job market sucks. Unemployment is at an all-time high. Companies are laying off. Ageism's a real thing. People of our age, 50 over, can't find a job because everybody else is younger with more recent technology experience, etc. So we become even more fearful of not being able to make a move. We allow ourselves to be stuck. So here we sit. We also make ourselves very fearful of not knowing enough to be able to make better financial decisions, whether it comes to where to put our money. We do fearful things such as, oh, I'm going to take out some credit cards because if I had an emergency, I'm going to need to spend their money, not mine. We do stupid when we're afraid. Choosing clarity over panic will give you peace of mind and a steady path for you to walk on. Now, that sounds very all highfalutin and touchy-feely, but think about it. The amount of stress that you put yourself under when you're afraid of things, and usually those things or scenarios we've built up in our mind based on misinformation or misinterpretation of information that's come our way. Could have been about some news story, could have been about some remote, distant land that has a very unique situation that will never replicate and duplicate itself in your neighborhood, but all of a sudden you're afraid that Ebola or the swine flu or the bird flu or whatever the most recent fear-mongering news story is about to happen to you and yours, and what that might mean to y'all financially. So financial fears for we women of a certain age are definitely rooted in misinformation, ignorance, which is the lack of understanding, and lack of guidance. And there's ways that we can educate ourselves. We can talk to a financial advisor that has the heart of a teacher who will help walk you through your understanding before you give them the first dollar to invest on your behalf. If you've not begun saving for retirement or you think you're way behind, you're scared. That's fear. And that fear actually can easily be resolved by a few easy steps that we talk about on my channel, which is figuring out what your current monthly expenses are, what your debt is, what your income is, and what your anticipated income is going to be in retirement. Because once you know how much you need to live right now, that's the maximum you're going to need in retirement. And when you stop working, and some of you may choose to hybrid and not completely stop working, but if you choose to stop working, there are going to be expenses that are going to naturally fall away that you'll no longer have to pay. You're not going to have to buy professional clothes anymore. You're not going to have to buy dry cleaning. You're going to eat home a lot more. So your expenses will actually decrease when you're no longer working. So keep coming back. This information you can use whether you're going to retire in 5 years or in 15 or never. All right? But we've got things we can do now to take away a lot of the fear we're living with so you can continue to live a phenomenal life and retire when and like you mean it. If you're ready to replace fear with information, with boldness, and with a plan, keep coming back. Like, subscribe, share. Send this video to somebody in your life, man or woman. I usually speak to women over 50, but I know there's a lot of men that tune into this channel and to hear a lot of the information I have to say. I am not a financial advisor. I am just simply a woman who has decided that she would like to retire sooner than later, and how am I going to do it? I'm here to help you figure that out for yourselves. Keep coming back. I'll see y'all soon. Stop recording. How does loving your job keep you trapped? That is an interesting concept that I've had to give some thought to, because I got to tell you, I do. I love what I do. I have loved my job better on some days than others, but I still keep it because I enjoy it. But how has it kept me trapped thinking that this is as good as it gets? Oh, there was a movie, there was a line, what if this is as good as it gets? I got to tell you, this is not as good as it gets. There is an entire life out there that I have barely scratched the surface on how I want to live. Can you imagine? You have no alarm clock you have to set. You have nowhere you have to be. Your time is your own. But by loving your job and keep telling yourself every day, I love my job, can't wait to get there, what are you saying no to? Every year we say yes to our job. We are saying no to an entire life we've yet to imagine. And a lot of us say we love our job to just convince ourselves to keep going in. If we truly gave it some thought and realized, I don't hate my job, but I surely would be rather doing other things, it would be more difficult every day to go in and give that 110% that we all do. We've got that work ethic. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for that. I love my work, and I realized it was not my whole identity. For a long time, I personally thought I was what I did. And I had to take a step back a while back and realize that my job is not my identity. It's not who I am. What I want is so much more. My job is a piece of what I do, what I am. It is how I make my income. I happen to enjoy how I make my income, but that doesn't mean loving my job should be more than loving myself. And I also have to wonder, when did loving my job become a leash? When did it become something that I had to tether myself to, or else I wasn't going to love anything else? Did I work so much that I neglected to develop my own personal hobbies, my own personal passions? I did for many decades, many decades. And fear had a lot to do with that. Single girl, had to pay her own bills. There was no retirement unless I was doing it, etc., etc., etc. So fear led me into the mindset that I became very passionate about my job because it was a vehicle to meet a lot of these goals and expectations I'd set for myself. But at the end of the day, I've almost arrived at the point where I have enough. And God knows I've just about had enough of working. It's not the company I work for. It's not my bosses. It's not my coworkers. I enjoy them. I will miss them. But I want to retire before 65. I still have several years left. So nobody hit the panic button that Jen's leaving. But Jen's going to keep pursuing the things that interest her and figuring out what she wants her retirement to look like. Will it be a hybrid retirement? You betcha. Because I will do what I am passionate about. And if I happen to make money at it, fantastic. If not, I'll keep doing it. Hopefully I won't need to make money with it. But if I can, I'm not going to be mad about it. One thing that I've had to realize the hard way is by loving my job and being passionate about it and willing to rise to a challenge, I have had to cease loving my job out loud. When the people around me and the people above me saw how much I enjoyed it, it just kept getting piled on, and that was fun until I had no more room to breathe. And they began changing the rules of the game to their expectations of the amount of hours and the time of day I was going to have to work. They also took away some of the flexibility, and those were deal breakers for me. I've not left yet. I can make them work currently in my life, but sooner than later, sooner than 70 at least, they're no longer going to be a viable way that I want to live my life. So I will retire. Many times in my life, I have let work become my personal identity. I was healing from loss of a marriage, loss of a father, decades apart, but still both took healing time. I was working on myself. So pouring myself into my job was easier than looking around and building the life that I should have been building. A lot of us are guilty of that. A lot of us can own it and say, yep, I have crawled into my job. I crawled into working out too much, to a box of Oreos, whatever it is. And I'm not hating on Oreos, but still, when you are avoiding things, you're avoiding things. And a job is one of the ways we can do that. Sometimes we don't even decide to think about retirement because we're going to keep working. Retirement, I'll never do it because you're afraid to look. Are you afraid to look and figure out if you have enough? And are you just as afraid, if not more, of figuring out what you're going to do after your job, after retirement, to fill your life? These are big questions. And if you start working on the answers now, not only will your life now become richer and fuller, but you'll barely be able to wait to get to doing it full time, whatever it may be. Comment below and let me know who you are without your job title. Are you a mother, a wife, a gardener? Are you a dog trainer, a dog rescuer? Are you a cake decorator? Are you a lover of butterflies? I don't know. Only you can figure that out. What do you love to do? What are you without your job? I don't want to know that you're a bookkeeper unless that is your passion, and there's nothing wrong with that. Tell me that you enjoy power washing things. I love that. There's nothing more satisfying on this planet than power washing something. Leave it below. Y'all keep coming back. I will see you at the end of the series YouTube Live. If you're watching this in the future, well, hello from 2026. I'm Jenny. I might look a little bit older with whatever year you're watching this, but all of these are packaged together into a 7-day series and then with the YouTube Live at the end. Binge them all. I'll see y'all soon. Stop recording. Wish in one hand, something in the other. Enough money, enough life. Everything in life is a choice. It is a balancing act. We know this. More money, however, is not going to buy you any more years. We've all read the stories. We've heard this, and we've heard of people in our lives that when they retire, they come home and they're gone within a year. Some of them are gone a lot faster than that, and they never had a chance to spend the money they kept working in order to acquire. So there is a balancing act here that we need to talk about. How much do you need? How much do you have now? When do you expect to start drawing on that? And how long will that last? Some of us, if you're just now getting started thinking about this and working toward it, it's not too late, but your path forward is going to be a little different. And some of us may choose to never stop working, that we enjoy what we do, or we want to stay engaged and active outside the house. These are all personal choices, and you can retire any way like you mean it. It's not all about the dollars. A lot of it is about the cents, but you have to start thinking about it now. I'm personally under 60. Do I want to retire before 65 and 70? Yes, I do. Am I going to retire next year? Probably not. But these are choices that I have to begin thinking about and deciding when it works for me. So come on, let's talk about how you cannot buy back the years if you choose to keep working for the money. And you have to decide, do you even need the money? And is every day and year of your life worth what you're exchanging for it? The retirement finish line keeps moving. It's not because of inflation. It's not because of the interest rates. A lot of it has to do with life expectancy. That's a huge one. And even more of it has to do with the cost of living and the amount of money that you can actually make as we continue to age. Healthcare cost is another big one. A lot of people get more fearful of, oh, I can't afford to retire. I need to keep working for the health insurance. I'm nowhere near 65 yet. I can't get on Medicare. All of that is completely understandable, but there's things that you need to start working out now, sooner than later. And when the goalpost keeps moving, it makes you continue to feel like you still don't have enough. Oh my God, according to the experts, I needed $1.6 million last year, and now I need $4 million? Oh, I'll never quit working. I will work until I'm 70. Pause. Hold on. Some of these choices that you're making can sabotage your ability to retire early or to retire, period. I was talking to a individual today. I'd gone to a medical appointment, and we were talking about being debt-free versus debt, and he was justifying, he's younger than I am, justifying some of the reasons why he decided to take loans out to put in the dream pool, to put in this, to do that. And now he's probably going to have to work till he's 70 to pay that stuff off. Those are choices he made for him and his family for the moment without necessarily completely analyzing how it was going to impact his future. Yes, he knew that he should save up cash for these purchases, but him and his wife justified it because by the time they thought they could save up the cash, and I'm assuming that was just wandering through their current budget without getting intense to it, but they figured by the time they saved up the cash, the kids long since would be out of the house, and probably it would be the grandkids that were enjoying the pool. But The moral of the story is we make our choices and they impact our future. So do your future self a solid. Look at what you're currently spending on debt and let's start eradicating that. So the goalpost keeps moving, but it's not necessarily externally. It's because you keep making non-wise decisions for your future self and the goals that you set for yourself. Below, if you haven't already started your own budget, I've got a free Master Your Money Plan workbook, worksheet to help you begin your budgeting journey. Yes, budgeting has gotten a bad rap, but you basically need to know what you have coming in, what you have going out, where you need to be as far as what your total expenses need to be on a monthly basis so you can retire at some point. Or if you want to do a hybrid, how much money do you need in order to achieve your hybrid? And we spend a lot of time in the rat race, keeping up with the Joneses, wanting to get the next cell phone or the next gadget or the next upgrade. And we've all noticed that it's not even an annual thing when the next phone comes out. Sometimes they're spitting two of these out a year because they know there's people who are going to keep chasing the latest and greatest. You've heard about people being upside down in cars. There's people who are upside down in cell phones. They just keep, that debt is just growing and growing and growing because they got to keep having the latest and greatest. But stop. What is enough for you? What is what you really need? Do you need the latest and greatest cell phone? Or can you wait 5 or 6 years until the one you have stops working with the most recent versions of the apps? Do you pay cash for your cell phones? So I'm not here to preach to you to pay cash for everything and absolutely no debt. Those are just the wise course of actions to take. But you need to figure out, when do you stop chasing all of this stuff that does not enrich your life and brings you no joy? And when you decide what is enough and what is sufficient, you will find your financial number of how much you need a month for the long term, and you can go after what really has value for you. Save this video, subscribe to this channel if you're rethinking the value system of more. Share this video with somebody in your life that you know needs to hear it. Y'all keep coming back. I post multiple times a week, but I'm doing this week-long series once a month now for the next 7 months, and then I'll package them all together. I will see you in the YouTube Live at the end of the series, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Stop recording. You get to redefine retirement on your terms. Retirement is not a reward. It's not something that you work, and bam, it's there because you've ticked all the boxes. No, retirement is a choice. So let's change our thinking with that, because you don't have to retire. You don't have to do it traditionally. You can continue working on your own terms, on your own pace. It is a choice as to how you do it, and it's time we start giving this a lot of thought. There are no rules. You get to define your retirement and retire like you mean it. I've stopped asking permission and started asking questions. And I'm looking inward for the answers. I'm not asking somebody else what they think I should do, what they think is the smart thing to do, etc. No, I'm looking inside to me. I'm figuring it out. How much do I need to live on a month-to-month basis in a lifestyle to which either I've grown accustomed or I'm willing to acquire? That can mean that you realize that you're going to not have a lot of expenses that you currently have while you're working, and so your needs, your monthly money requirements are going to be less. But again, start looking internally to your own questions and figuring out your own answers. Yes, go to friends, trusted friends, financial advisors, leaders in your church community, etc. Ask questions, get educated, find your confidence by empowering yourself with knowledge and understanding. But I want you to think about this. What does your retirement, what does the next stage of your life looks like if you designed it from scratch, from the ground up, without any of these preconceived notions and ideas? What does yours look like? This is where the old script ends. I hereby free you. Go and do your own thing the way you want to do it. You've always been allowed to, but we have found comfort in being part of a framework that we didn't have to think about. Whether you're just getting started or you've been looking forward to this time of life for many, many years and putting things into place, it's not too late to start thinking about it and redesigning it the way you mean it. One of the first things you can do is figure out your win. Design your own personal timelines. It does not have to be at age 65 or 70. Don't let anybody push you into what they think is best for you or what in reality is actually best for them if you would just please comply with their wishes. Give some thought to not actually 100% retiring. Think about side hustles and income. Let your life skills and experiences pay your way so that you can still have engagement, social outings, etc., whatever you need, whatever's baked into your current work life that you're not ready to put down. But you definitely want to be able to figure out if flexible income is something you're going to need. Perhaps you've saved quite a bit, but alas, it may not be enough to meet your monthly needs, and you've tightened your belt as much as you are comfortable doing. In which case, if your outgo exceeds your income, just as it's done your entire life, you're going to have to keep working. You're going to have to go get another job. Now, a job does not have to mean you go to work for somebody else. So in the description below, I have a free workbook for you to figure out your life skills and where it may transfer into an income stream that can help support and supplement. But also there will be a mini course coming up, so put your name on the wait list so that we can stay in touch and I can let you know as soon as that's launched. And we'll keep having these conversations. This is a 7-month series. Keep coming back. There will be YouTube lives at the end of it. Let's develop some support network. You're not alone. I'm here, and you've got an entire community that's looking at the same finish line or milestone. Let's not call it a finish line because nothing's done. We are going into the next chapter of our lives boldly, bombastically, bravely, and we're going to do it on our terms this time. If you have found these 7 videos, this first series of 7, empowering, insightful, leave me a comment below. Share this with people in your life. I am certain you've got friends and sisters and cousins that need to hear this exact same message. Keep coming back. Again, I post videos twice a week on Saturdays and on Wednesdays. It's more about the cents than it is about the dollars when it comes to women over 50 thinking about retirement. If you're a gentleman, welcome. Keep coming back. I will see y'all soon. This is your life. Design it the way you want it to be. Stop recording.